Hello, folks. My name is Ed Overstreet, and I run the Night Sky Imaging YouTube channel, and today I'm imaging the sun live. So let's go take a look at it. Okay. Let's share my screen. Hang on a second. There you go. I have been imaging the sun for a couple hours this morning, and I want to recenter it. I'm using these crosshairs as a reference to center inside the sunspot, so I'm going to need to move the mount, and I'm using this Histogram hand controller. The mount I'm using is a AVX. In fact, let's take a look at it. It's an AVX by Celestron Advanced VX scope, and I'm using this 65 EDQ telerefractor with a moonlight focuser, a quark chromosphere, and an ASI 174 camera. On top is the Solar Scout with something almost the same as the quark chromosphere built into this Scout, although Daystar says it is not a quark chromosphere. From where I image in my test, it's doing essentially the same thing. And I have an ASI 224 a color camera attached to that. When I'm finished with this time lapse, if the clouds will allow, I'm going to take as many as I can, and hopefully I will be able to get two possible time lapse movies. You never know. But I'm going to need to recenter my mount, so I'm going to have to move up, and that's up happens to be west. This is very counterintuitive, and then I'm going to need to move the mount, the sun over to the left, which is north, and we need to go up a little more and north a little more, and that should do it for right now. I'm going to take a quick capture of 1,000 frames. It's not necessary that these crosshairs are exact, but it helps the software to stack. By the way, I got to get you back to, I apologize, to share my screen. Okay. What you missed is I just recentered inside the star's sunspot, and I racked off 1,000 frames, and I'm going to move the mount south just a tad. Put it back in the center. And I mentioned earlier, it's not that important that you're exact, but the closer you are, the better. Let's rack off another 1,000 frames. And I've been doing this this morning for about a couple of hours now, and I have a number of videos. I'm doing this manually because the mount is not polar aligned. And we're moving in the solar rate, not the sidereal rate or the lunar rate, and it's a different rate. They're all different, and so it does require some babysitting. Probably could minimize some of this if I just took the time to polar align it, and I used the Celestron hand controller using the using the sun's solar feature and Nexstar remote, but I don't care for Nexstar remote. It acts up sometimes, so I use the Histogram driver and this virtual telescope, which comes in pretty handy. I move it around and put it where I want. Let's quick capture another 1,000 frames. I am pausing between each frame about a minute, 2 minutes. And you don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. SharpCap will allow you to set up a sequence. You can go to Capture and select Start Capture, and then you can make these settings where you can allow yourself to have a minute between frames. But I could set up the number of frames I want, like 1,000 frames, and I want to have 250 images, and just you use this feature and not this feature and start it, and it'll take one right after the other without you doing anything. Now that would be great if you were guiding, which you cannot do in the daytime. And Sharkcap's feature, they do have a tool called feature tracking, and feature tracking would let you guide if this mount responded to pulses, pulse guiding, but it doesn't. So, and I don't know how good that works, but at any rate, I just sit here and babysit it. And right now I need to move the sun west just a little bit to try to recenter it in a little bit north. And north moves the sun to the left, moves the crosshairs to the right. Okay, I may have gone too far. That looks good. Let's click off 1,000. You can use your mouse and grab these crosshairs and put them anywhere you want on your screen. So you can frame the sun the way you want it, and then go up here to single crosshair, a circle with crosshairs, a crosshairs multiple, or no reticule at all. You can also pick your, you can type in the folder that you want this to go in, or you can just pick sun, sun surface, sun proms, and I've just left it blank, and it will just create a folder. I need to move the sun down just a little bit, which is a little bit east, or sun up, star hairs, crosshairs down. And let's click off another. And so that's pretty much all that's going on, but it's a real prominent sunspot. I mentioned that I'm using the quark chromosphere or the Daystar Scout with something equivalent to the quark chromosphere. These do a really good job for feature photography of the sun. You can also overexpose by dragging your exposure up, and you can see activity on the sun surface, or you can raise the gain. If I bring the gain up, oh, not too much, say about right there, and you can see some activity going on right around this area, but raising the gain too much can create noise when you're looking at surface detail. But when you're looking at a blown out sun, raising the gain is it's not a bad thing. It's not as bad. But what I would do in this case is I would back it off just a little bit, right about there, and then I would raise the exposure, which slows down, and it gives you a little more detail. And you can image these proms. In post-processing, I usually turn the sun to black, and all of this will appear orange. And but you can also do a time lapse of these proms. This is not worthy of spending time doing a time lapse, in my opinion. So let's bring this down into the 60s, and let's bring our, and I'm looking at my histogram right now. I want my histogram to be right there. That's about where we were before. Let's recenter our sun, and in order to do that, I'm going to need to move north, and I'm going to need to move the east. Now we got to go south. We went too far north. It is like driving or piloting a battleship. When you're managing backlash, and you have these imperfect gears that have drag. There we go. Let's knock off another 1,000. And folks, that's it. I'm going to accumulate as many of these as I can. I have done a processing video that was recorded on how I take these time-lapse videos, and I stack them in AutoStacker, and then I use programs PIPP and IMPPG along with PixInsight to create a time-lapse video. And that's what I'm going to try to do here. I'm fairly certain we're going to see some activity on the surface around this sunspot, some swirling movement going on. That's what my plan is. All right, guys, with that being said, I hope everybody has a great day.